We've all always been afraid of evil and depravity, especially when it comes from people doing bad things to other people. It's hard to watch movies and TV shows that show horrible medical experiments. Certain experiments carried out on human beings are real. In this video, I'll show you the 5 scariest medical experiments that have ever been done on people. Some of the most well-known victims have been women, African Americans, prisoners, and children. Before we continue, please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel. 5. Tuskegee Syphilis Research. This horrible medical experiment was done in Tuskegee, Alabama in 1932. At the time, there was no good way to treat syphilis, a sexually transmitted disease that causes pain, madness, suffering, and eventually death. Mercury was used as a treatment, but mercury is a poisonous substance that can cause kidney failure, tooth loss, mouth ulcers, and even death. A group of doctors who were paid by the government decided not to treat the disease to see if it was better. 6 months of money were given for the study, but it went on for more than 40 years without any money. Because of this horrible experiment, 399 people with syphilis couldn't get treatment. Most of them were poor African American men who couldn't read or write. Even after penicillin became known as a good treatment, these patients were either not given treatment or were given fake medicine instead. Most of the people who took part in this horrible experiment died of syphilis in the end. 4. Chimera. In this deadly experiment, the people who died were the prisoners. The goal was to make a poison that didn't taste or smell and couldn't be found after someone died. People were taken against their will to a secret Soviet Union lab called Chimera or the Cell. As medicine, these prisoners were given substances with ricin and mustard gas, digitoxin, curare, and cyanide with their meals and drinks. The secret police finally made the poison they wanted, which they called C2, pronounced as carbylamine choline chloride. This poison changes the way a person looks and feels, making them weaker and causing them to die within 15 minutes. Many of the prisoners died in this terrible medical experiment. 3. The Monster Study. The Monster Study is the name given to an experiment done in 1939 in Iowa on 22 orphan children who stuttered. Wendell Johnson, who is a speech pathologist at the University of Iowa, did it. Mary Tudor, one of his graduate students, did the horrible thing. All 22 orphans were put into 2 different groups. One group got positive therapy for their smooth speech, while the other group got negative therapy and was criticized for their speech problems. As a result of this cruel and horrible experiment, the people in the negative group got sick, and some of them had problems with their speech for the rest of their lives. 2. Cincinnati Radiation Experiments. During the Cold War, both the US and the Soviet Union wanted to find out if a person could survive a nuclear attack. African Americans were also put through this cruel test. From 1960 to 1971, radiologist Dr. Eugene Senger gave a lot of radiation to more than 88 people with cancer. These people didn't know that the Pentagon paid for the experiment. They were told that the experiment was a kind of treatment that might help them get better. 1 hour of radiation was given to the patients. All of the patients who were exposed to radiation had side effects like nausea, vomiting, and mental confusion. Most of them died because they got too much radiation. 1. Project 4.1. This was the name of a horrible medical study that was done on the people of the Marshall Islands. The Castle Bravo nuclear test at Bikini et al. Sent radiation into the air, which these native people were exposed to. This nuclear test had a yield that was much bigger than expected. Instead of telling the people in the area about the radiation, the US government decided to keep quiet and study how the radiation affected people. This made more miscarriages and stillbirths happen. Many of the babies who were carried to term had problems as they grew up because of the nuclear radiation. 1/3 of the people on the island got cancer and died. If you think this video is informational, then please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you never miss an update.